Okay, everybody, welcome back. Hope you didn't miss me too much in the last few minutes or few seconds as you're clicking through these videos. I am back on the 2020 Access Score distribution document where I will post this video. And since the last video, I've added a video part 1 and a part 2 since there will be another part to give you additional information. So we're going to continue working through this document. And again, I'm going to post both of these videos here that show you how to retrieve those access reports and then different options for sharing the reports. I wanted to point out option 2 for you. So our testing department will create individual score reports in English and in Spanish. I believe those are the two default languages, and place them in school-specific folders in SharePoint. So what is SharePoint? I'm glad you asked. SharePoint is a secure platform in Office 365 that testing coordinators and school administrators can access. So ask your testing coordinator to download this file and share it with you. But that's another way that you can get these electronic files in addition to actually going on the AMS website and downloading those yourself. So number 3. And I need to emphasize this again. I've mentioned this a couple times in the video previously. It's very important to securely store and handle the 2020 Access Score reports. Remember, this is secure testing information. So it doesn't make any difference if you're working with hard copy or electronic copy reports. These reports must be handled securely. So there's some acceptable ways of doing this and some not acceptable ways of doing this. So I'm going to go through the acceptable ways to begin with. So to begin with, your Google folder, your WSFCS Google folder, that is a secure location. It belongs to you. And you can set up those security settings, but it's also under the secure technology shell of Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools. You can also use your OneDrive folder. That may be, I think there may be another step to go through with using your OneDrive, but that's another option that you have. You can also place these reports on a password-protected WSFCS computer. And the way you can share this securely is you can share a Google file link from your email address, your Winston-Salem Google account, with another Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools email address. So those are acceptable ways to share and handle these access reports. Not acceptable ways. Placing these score reports on a non-district issued computer, so a device that does not belong to the school system. Placing these score reports on a personal Google Drive or a Google folder. And I don't mention this here, but placing these results on a thumb drive that is something that you could misplace or lose, especially if those reports are not protected. Sharing a Google file link to a non-Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools email address, that's something you do not want to do. And then never email a score report. If it's possible to encrypt something with personally identifiable information, PII, information of a student, if you need to send that, you're going to need to encrypt it. Most of these reports will be in PDF format, and so encrypting this and then sharing there are some trials and tribulations to doing that in PDF, but then encrypting that in PDF and then sharing the password is something that you do not want to navigate if you can help it. So I've given you a couple simple ways that you can share those reports, whether it's in Canvas, whether it's using the WSFCS Google folder. But please be aware of the acceptable means of sharing and handling these reports and the non-acceptable means. So number 4 gets to the distribution options. So again, I've given you an overview of option 1. Option 1 is really that Canvas message. There may be another way that you choose to share those reports in Canvas. Possibly it could be an assignment for every student, but that's one way you can share these score reports. And then the electronic option 2 is using the Google folder within that WSFCS Google suite, that Google secure shell for our school system. So just make sure you're using your WSFCS Google account, and then you can share that information directly with a student's WSFCS email address. And then we can notify the parents. I'm going to talk about that momentarily. You may have other ideas, and if you do have other ideas, please bring them to my attention, or you can talk to Nora Ann, and we'll talk you through those options that you may have. And there may be a hard copy option. So if you go down to the second page, you may have a way to share hard copy reports with families. There may be families that you're having a hard time getting in touch with for whatever reason. Schools can mail these reports out if they want to. However, we've given you a couple electronic options, but you do have the option to distribute these hard copies in various ways. And then hard copy option 2, you may have developed another method for doing this. Some schools have weekly packet pickups. They have their Flex Fridays when families are coming in to pick up stuff from the school. So if you have a method for sharing this via hard copy, this information via hard copy, that's perfectly okay if you've got those processes in place. And again, I mentioned here at the bottom, additional options. If you've got an idea that we haven't covered here, and you probably do, then I welcome you to get in touch with us, invite you to get in touch with us, so we can hear your idea, maybe talk you through what that may look like. And then number 5, I wanted to point this out. What we will do is we will use the Connect 5 text messaging system to notify EL families. I can specifically narrow that notification just to our English learner families, just to let them know that they will soon receive their Access score reports. We'll probably put a little information in there about checking their child's email address, checking their child's Canvas account, or just getting in touch with the school if there's a packet pickup or another way that you're sharing this information, just to give parents a heads up that they should be on the lookout for these Access reports. Okay, the second section of this focuses on the 2020 EL status and the EL service notification. So all of our ESL teachers know that you need to notify parents annually of their EL status and what type of ESL support we are providing to those families. And since we're sharing the score reports, it's also a good time using the same means to share that EL status, EL service notification information with families. So if you look at step 1, I've given you the step, and really the guidance is that you need to complete the forms for each EL student. It's a one-page document who were enrolled during the 2019-20 school year. This form allows you to share the child's EL status, ESL service level, and whether a child exited EL status. Now look at the note in the middle of the screen here. Please note that for our newly enrolled, provisionally EL identified students, we do not need to do this process with those families. When we completed the family caregiver interview, our newcomer center is doing that now with students who enrolled over the past couple months. And we've recommended, in our elementary schools have done this process with our kindergarten students. During that process, that family caregiver interview, we estimate the child's English learner abilities, we recommend service for that child, and we give the families the option to accept or waive those services. So we've already notified families of that provisional EL status and what type of support we've recommended. We've also recorded that the families have received or have chosen to receive or waive the support. So for those families that were who had children enrolled during the 2019-20 school year, I'm going to give you a couple options here. There's a Word document and a PDF document. And so I'm going to show you what the Word document looks like. You're going to click here, and that is going to take you to this page. So this document will look very familiar to many of you. We've used a very similar document in years past. It's a very simple one-page document. And again, you're using this for the students that were identified as ELs in the 19-20 school year. So in the Word document, you'll be able to type in student name, school, grade, and date, and so on. And this just gives the parents an overview of the process. It lets them know their child took the access during the spring of 2020, lets them know why the results were delayed for 4 or 5 months. And then it gives them the criteria to be identified as an EL student in North Carolina. And then what I've done here is you need to let the families know that the child is identified as an English learner, or they're not identified as an English learner and they exited EL classification. So I've set these up as check boxes. And so what you can do is you can click here, and then it brings up the screen. You can click checked, and voila, you have a check mark there. You click it again, brings this back up, not checked, and you can take the check out. So that's a function that we've added to this just to make it a little bit easier for you. But again, this gives you an overview, gives parents an overview of what this process looks like. And then down at the bottom, you're going to select what type of service the child is receiving this year. So the child is scheduled to receive comprehensive or moderate ESL services, is scheduled to receive transitional ESL services, is not scheduled to receive ESL services. And so you would check here and have that option again. Okay, we're back to the main page, the process page. And really the 2020 EL status and ESL service notification process is fairly straightforward. Many veteran ESL teachers are aware of this process. And again, we're going to have these links in English, and in Spanish, in Word or PDF, depending on if you want to fill these out by hand and possibly scan them. That's up to you. We will work on getting you additional languages for this notification. More than likely, we will do this in Arabic, Chinese, Vietnamese, and some of our more prevalent languages within the school system. And then how do you share this? Number 2, the easiest way to do this would be to share this form simultaneously in a similar manner as to how your school has chosen to share the 2020 Access Student Report. So if you remember back to the Google folder, one of the suggestions that we had when we pulled this focus group together was that you create a separate Google folder for every student, drop both of these documents in that Google folder, share the link with that student via that child's email address, and then when the parent opens that child's email account, they will be able to go in and see all that information, the access results, the EL service notification, the EL status, all that information in that child's Google folder, in that child's Google account. And so last but not least, when should we complete these tasks? Make a good faith effort to complete these tasks by September 23rd, 2020, because that will be 30 days from when we technically receive these results. And that's the timeline that the state has given to us. So make a good faith effort to get this information out by that time. Okay, so this is coming up in the end of my time. I actually did need a second part for this. Hope you guys have a good day, good evening, depends on when you're watching this. My name is David Sisk. I'm here to help you out any way I can. And please let me know how I can assist. Thank you and take care. Bye.